Hey, militia members. Once again, it is your Vaping Minuteman, and today we're coming at you with something a little different than what you're used to seeing on here. It's a project I started way back in the beginning of this channel. Maybe about a year and a half ago, I started this, and it's time to bring it back because there seems to be a lot of misconception about certain things in the industry. So today, what we're actually going to do is we are going to do a little video on bottles. So, welcome to the new Vaper series, and there's been a little bit of a misconception on what bottles are, what types of bottles are out there, and when you hear about a bottle and somebody tells you what it is, you're like, what in the world is this? I mean, especially as a new vapor, a lot of times you don't know how your e-liquid is going to come and what are some of the best methods of being able to have that e-liquid come. So we're going to hop down to the up-close cam. Yeah, it's just the one showing my desk, and we're going to look at some of the actual e-liquids, or well, not the e-liquids, but the actual bottles they come in, and I'm going to tell you what kind they are. I'm going to tell you the pros and cons of each bottle. And then, it's up to you to make the decision as to what type you would want. So let's go ahead and hop down and look at these bottles. Okay, as you notice, I have a lot of stuff on my desk right now, but our main focus is what you see right here. These right here are the main focus, and I love that that screwed up on me. Oh well, hey, if you don't, they always say messiness is the next thing to geniusness. So I must be a genius with everything that's going on down there. But as you see, looking at this could actually be a lot of panic in an individual's eyes if they see all these bottles. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about some of these bottles. Now, this bottle right here is just a regular cylindrical bottle. Most people only use these when they are doing like DIY. Like, I use a lot of these in my DIY to steep liquids because I'll make liquids in 12 and 24 nicks sometimes, just so that I can dilute it down to get whatever I need for, if I've got a friend that wants to start vaping, I'll give them a little bit of e-liquid, but I got to have a way to have a higher nick without sitting here and making every time. So a lot of times I'll use these for that. Now, some of your liquids do still come in this type of a bottle. Personally, I do not recommend buying liquids that come in this type of bottle, simply because this plastic can leach a little bit of the flavor into your e-liquid. And then you have this type. This is a bullet bottle. A lot of people, because it's PET, they have the misconception that this is actually a Gorilla bottle. You do not have a Gorilla down here on the bottom, as you can see. And I actually have Gorilla bottles, and you'll see there's always a Gorilla somewhere on the bottle if it's a Gorilla bottle. So anytime you get a bottle like this, now this is, as I said, PET plastic. So PET does not have the tendency to leach as much as the other types of plastic. So I highly recommend always, if you don't buy in glass, buy PET for the most part, because that right there is one of the best ways to be able to have your liquids. Now, as I said also, you've got this type of little bottle, which is the same type of plastic as the other bottle. A lot of your house liquids actually come in these types of bottles. Normally, they'll have a little stopper up here that has a little needle point to where you can just bat it in your liquids, and it puts it out in a small stream so that it also works well with a tank to where you can put it in a tank. But again, when you buy e-liquids, I never recommend having them in those bottles. And then you have a Gorilla bottle. Now, I have two types of Gorilla bottles. One is a unicorn, which there are unicorns that are not gorilla bottles, but again, you notice it's got the gorilla on there. Now, gorilla is a brand. It is not a type of bottle. It is a brand. And honestly, I find, even though it is the other type of plastic, I find these are some of the best types of bottles when you're actually using that type of plastic. I don't find that much leaching to occur, so I do highly recommend Gorilla Unicorns. Now, this is your typical unicorn or gorilla bottle. As you notice, I don't know if you can see it, but right here, there's a little gorilla on there. You can see it just a little bit. It's really hard to see. It's a gorilla with his hands on the ground. That tells you it's a gorilla bottle. Now, these will normally come with a plastic piece on top that is on there, which, do I have one that's already made? No, I don't. I was hoping maybe I had one that I'd put together for myself, and I don't here anywhere. But these right here, these are some of the highest quality that you can get. Now, if you get one of these, though, the whole issue with this is you will want to actually take the tip, which I can show you one of the tips. These are the tips that would go on there. And you see that little hole? These would normally push all the way down in, but I don't want to push it in because once I get it in there, I can't get it out. But normally, when you screw this cap on, it pushes that all the way down to where it seals it. So, I can highly recommend these. Then lastly, which by far I'd have to say is the safest form, but it's also the most expensive, which is glass. Many of your e-liquids that are a higher price, they will be in glass bottles because glass bottles are more expensive. This was one of my original Psycho X's from Smiley. I saved a lot of their liquids. They do come with the dripper, which honestly, nowadays, these are old school. You don't see a lot of e-liquids nowadays using this old school style. And personally, I think within the next 5 years, if the industry is around that long, you're going to see everybody moving away from these glass ones totally. Because PET has the protection of glass, but it's still plastic. So there's less of a chance of breakage. But that's about all the bottles that you can have. There's a ton more, but every bottle is a branch off of one of these types of bottles that I showed you. And, you can make your own decisions. I'm just giving you what each of these bottles are. If you have any questions about the bottles, do ask them down in the comments. I do welcome any questions. And if you don't want to ask it publicly, just pop me an email at vapingminuteman@gmail.com. Make sure to put in the subject line what it's about, or just message me here on the YouTube channel. I do check those as soon as I get them, so, I'll always make sure to be able to find and answer your questions. But that about wraps it up, guys. This was our next installment of the new Vapor series. I will have a lot more, like the next one I'm putting together is a video about how to find your all-day vape. This series is going to be something to try to explain things that can get overwhelming to a new vapor. I know many of my subscribers are old vapors, and, you've had a lot of these, and, even with the bottle situation, you may not fully understand it, so, it's always good to watch these things. But, don't forget, guys, you gotta fight for your right to vape. Yeah!